Good evening, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is going to be our instantly after the episode review. Actually, instantly after the episode review of Skeleton Crew. This is episode 8, and it is called...
We're going to be in so much trouble.
And who are we talking about?
Right. Everyone.
Okay. So, all right. I have to talk about this first. I have to get this off my chest, or it's going to be in my way the entire time that we talk about this episode. I love this episode. I thought it was great. It's part 1 of a 2-part finale that they should have dropped both of them in one night. 30 minutes. Like, I wanted a big spectacle of a finale, which we might still get. But when the 30 minutes were done, I'm like, you can't... I understand the suspense of holding it for next week, but you can't end it there. You can't end it there. So I'm not happy with that. I love the episode. I love everything that happened, but that
It was a dream the whole time.
this is not the Bob Newhart show.
No, that wasn't the... Did they do that in the Bob Newhart show? They did it in Dallas.
They did it in Dallas
first,
too. Yeah.
When JR was shot. And you had to wait a whole season to find that out. So... I'm okay.
Jod is actually the supervisor. All right, so let's get into what ultimately is what we thought was going to happen. Everybody arrives at Atten together, essentially.
Yeah.
The episode starts with Wim kind of bummed that they're going home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that all the kids are on the same page, they've learned that their differences are actually a strength, that some of them can't do certain things that other people can. Wim has got his confidence. Fern is definitely the leader, but leader now up by following, like the others choosing to follow her, not because she was just kind of the pushy one.
Being bossy, yeah.
Yeah, and all of that. And he's kind of moping around. And Fern is the one this time trying to feel better and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's just so worried about being in trouble and everything's going to change. And Fern's like, no, they'll let us keep the ship. And still the naivete of the kids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that... I think mostly he was probably concerned about being in trouble and just, yeah, kind of bummed. It's like when you get home from a vacation and all the mundanity things just start coming back to you. You're like, oh, I got that doctor's appointment this week and I got whatever due at work and all that stuff comes back to you because you've been in whatever fantasy vacation land in your brain. Yeah. It's like that same thing because he even says that he's still got to take his assessment.
Yeah.
Like it all kind of starts coming back to him. He's like, the fun time is over and now
the post-con depression begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get what he's coming from, and I love that Fern is the one who's like trying. Now she's the actual true leader, and she's the one who's trying to pump him up. Like it's gonna be okay. Like we're not gonna get in that much trouble. Like and it just I just love that that's like what they took that beat, that moment to, especially with Wim. Because he so wanted to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
He went on his adventure. It wasn't the adventure he thought it was going to be, but it ended up being something else probably more important to him in the long run.
Yeah.
And now the realization of that adventure is coming to an end. He has to go home. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
We've all been there.
We go to Brutus's command ship. Right? Is that the next? No, the parents. The parents. We go to the parents who are in the jungle where the ship was buried, and they're putting together this tracking communications device.
Yeah.
And all of them have different pieces, and they put it all together. And Neil's mom is the last one there with her stuff, and then the robot guards show up. And please step away from the communicator or you'll be stunned. And it became a horror film for about 2 minutes, whatever. And I love that Neil's mom is the first one. Is like, I'm gonna run and grab it.
Yeah, she zero Fs.
Yes.
I want my child back.
And after last week, where Neil was pointing out, like, I don't have the monkey arms and legs like you do.
Yeah.
To Fern because of his species just being built differently.
Yeah.
She's the first one's like, I'm going to run for it.
Yeah.
Like, your legs are like this long. Like.
Right, but that's like, kind of also shows, besides, she's Mama Weasley, is that the time in your own skin kind of thing.
Yeah.
Neil is appears to be pretty sheltered, in his family is very connected, and so it's kind of them.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know what I can and can't do, and I know how to do the things maybe that I don't do so well, to the best of my abilities. And he's just like afraid to try anything. I can't do anything. And she's like, no, I get that my legs are short, but I'm still gonna do this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do what I can.
It almost feels like a distraction ploy. Like, she knows she's going to get it, so she's just going to be like, screw it, I'm going for it. And then one of the other, who with longer legs, can grab it and run.
Well, they end up, teamwork makes the dream work.
And the rally through the trees until Farah, who is Fern's mom, who is the undersecretary, is the one who finally like lets it go, and how they didn't do the orchestral like thing, just a couple of beats would have just been perfect. So it goes up through the atmosphere of the planet and then out through the barrier.
Right.
And it gets to the barrier shortly. It gets into the barrier and out shortly after Brutus and the command ship of the pirate fleet gets there. Jod is alive. He's talked them into going to the coordinates, and there's this whole exchange back and forth between Brutus and Jod, just like, who's really going to ultimately have command of the ship?
Yeah.
And who is actually being believed by the rest of the crew?
Yeah.
And
I think Brutus knows it's Jod. I think deep down he knows that it is, which is why he just keeps being a jerk, a jerky McJerkface. He just keeps, like, the rest of the crew is kind of listening to what Jod has to say.
Yeah.
And not that Jod's a good guy, and they should, but they are. And Brutus just keeps trying to shove him in the airlock because that takes care of his problem.
Yeah. He ever since Jod came back, Brutus has been doing everything he can to get rid of Jod as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because as soon as Jod gets to talking, he's gonna that everybody else is gonna realize that Brutus is just not the right captain, and even Jod points it out through everything.
Yeah, you're a great first mate, but not a great captain.
And I love that they show up and Brutus is like, "What is this? It's obvious not," and let's throw him out the airlock.
Yeah.
And so that just that kind of that constant like back and forth between them, and then the other ship, the Onyx Cinder shows up. They grab that, and then Jod is in the airlock, and they're ready to push the button. He's like, "No, the ship." He's like, I figured it out. And the older woman who was standing next to Brutus in the previous episode, who kind of gave Jod his second chance, it opens the door, and he says it's the Onyx Cinder who's actually like that's the way to get through.
Yeah. So that woman looks like the Jeff Goldblum's character in Thor Ragnarok. His second.
Yeah,
she looks.
I don't think it is, but
yeah. But every time I see her, I'm like, I wonder if that's like they could be sisters or something.
Yeah. I thought the same thing when she popped up.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's like cool. They get this ship. They force the door open, and they tell the kids, like, come out, or we're coming in to get you, whatever. And Brutus goes up the steps, and he's like, they're not, whoever's on the ship. He didn't call them kids because he didn't know those kids at that point in time. But he's did the whole, all right, fine. You and you go get whoever's on board. You three get the, what do they call the command ship? started with an R, or there's an R in it.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Anyways, he gets grabbed by the claw that they've been teasing the entire season, and come to find out is KB on the joystick on a voice modulator saying, get rid of the tractor beam. We'll get out of your hair. We'll give you back your captain. And Chad walks up, picks up his gun, and shoots him.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Okay. This is example 3 now that we got that maybe Jod isn't a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He was playing the whole time.
The pirate code, ethics, hierarchy, system of governing is very they're more like guidelines than they are actually written and stuff. And so they have been, like we talked about earlier, they have been fighting back and forth for captainship. There was going to be a fight at some point in time between the two of them, I really felt. And Jod found an opportunity to take him out without having to really do anything.
Yeah.
And everybody fell in line instantly with him, with Jod, after they did that. Because, like we were saying, everybody was kind of iffy with Brutus.
Yeah.
They kind of went along just because there was nobody really strong enough to go against him.
Yeah.
Brutus's race is very strong and very, able. Don't ask me what it is off the top of my head. It's from Legends. Red wolf face, red eyes. So Jod found an opportunity to get rid of a major piece off the board, and everybody fell in line instantly. Come to find out, the kids are actually on board. And then Jod shows up with his helmet. So he's Captain Silvo again.
Yep.
What is your name, sir?
Yes.
I love that costume.
Yeah.
I if somebody is 3D printing that helmet, I want to do that cosplay. I really want to do that cosplay. I don't have the chest hair like Jude Law does, so I can't do the blue. Maybe I'll just get some yarn or something and pull it out.
You get a little toupee.
Chest toupee. But I just love that I'm Silvo again. I have my coat.
Yep.
I have my helmet. He goes on the ship. The kids are all there. And they find the tracking beacon. The tracking beacon gets out, and the message from the parents gets to the kids, and they say, you're not in trouble. We just want you to come home.
Yep. Each
of the parents give that uplifting speech. All the kids come into the cabin to kind of do we're listening, and the one. I'm terrible with race names tonight. The one guy stops them, and she's like, "We're not trying to escape. We just want to hear the message." I love Fern. Just even though she knows she can't go against him, they listen to the speech. They all decide we have to come up with a plan to get our ship back, and Wim presses the button.
And the lightsaber lights up between us. No. But the same thing. He whoa. Have you learned nothing?
No.
Formulate a plan and then execute the plan. Don't execute the plan and then formulate it later.
I love his unbridled ambition. I just love it. But dude, you're 4 12-year-olds against 3 large seasoned pirates.
Yeah.
You have zero chance here. You have to make a plan. They do a bunch of different I'm trying to remember what happens.
Fern and Jod have a ship off.
Oh yeah. So SM-33 comes in. So I'm sorry. SM-33 comes in, and they have the claimsies argument between Jod and Fern.
Yeah.
And SM-33, who I actually secretly think he cares about the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've been fooled before.
That's true. That's true. But him saying by pirate code, you've already claimed the other ship.
Yeah, you can't have two ships. They even said that. Like, it was it this episode or last episode? Somebody said you can't have two ships.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that groundwork has already been laid.
Yeah, yeah. We can call him Commandant or Admiral. If he has more than one ship.
But you still can't be if you're the admiral, you're the admiral of the fleet. You are not captain of all the ships.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand all the extra rules. I don't want to live this lifestyle as a pirate where I don't have any rules, and then there's all these like unwritten rules of baseball that's been piracy. I love Fern and Jod going back and forth because it's a callback for the Claimsies in that first episode of when they found the ship in the first place.
Yep.
And when Fern claims unclaimsies and retakes the ship, SM-33 is like, yep, that's good enough for me. And he takes out the other two, and then Jod pulls out the lightsaber and cuts his head off.
Yep.
And we are now... no. He knocks Jod out. SM-33 knocks Jod out, takes care of the other two, throws them out, and then the Onyx Cinder takes off and busts through the storm, they get chased.
Yeah.
And that's when they're in the storm that they realize that the Onyx Cinder itself is an Aten ship.
Right.
Which is why it can go through the barrier without being destroyed like we got shown earlier in the episode.
Right, by one of the pirates trying to go through.
Yeah. And I love that simple explanation.
Yeah.
The reason that ship is able to go was there in the first place was because the person who was the captain of that ship is from Aten.
Right.
So I'm having this thought that maybe back in the Old Republic days, Aten was actually one of the 7. We know that it was one of the 7 planets of the Great Works, and it was a trade partner with other things. And when they realized that the other planets were being destroyed or killed off or segregated or whatever ended happening, they reinforced the barrier. That's why they call it the barrier and not the shield or the storm or the cloud.
Right, because it's not just hiding them.
Yeah.
You cannot penetrate it.
Yeah.
You will be killed.
Yeah. And I it's a simple explanation for a very complex question that we've had the entire time.
Yeah.
Why was this ship able to leave
and then,
without having any issues?
Yeah, and how's it going to get back? Because that was we were kind of like, how is it going to get back through the barrier? Are they going to take it down or send something out there to get them?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. The landing codes, the Imperial codes, that kind of thing. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But come to find out, Jod did actually make it on the ship. He cuts off SM-33's head, and then he has this whole, full-on, I'm going yellow eyes, red lightsaber, evil, shut up, I'm tired of you all talking,
Yep.
You're the worst,
Yep.
To whim about talking so much, just being a terrible person to a bunch of 12-year-olds, and threatening to tear apart their families, and that was a turn.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like him anymore.
No, and I really wonder if there's some kind of redemption. Because he didn't harm the kids. He's had every opportunity to get rid of them. He has the Force abilities. He's done all these things.
Yeah, but
he's saved them multiple times.
But they were providing him with something.
Yeah.
Every time, right? So they had a ship when he was in jail, in prison, whatever. They had a ship. So I will get you out of prison to go get your ship so I can get off this planet. And then, they start he's like, okay, we'll figure out how to get you home or whatever. I'm sure he was planning on just dumping them somewhere or, dumping them on their planet and taking off with the ship. And as he's going along, he's finding out there's more in this for him and more in this, which is keeping the kids alive until
wasn't
he feels
until-
like he's got enough information that he doesn't need them anymore.
Lupana, when they were on Lupana at the resort,
Yeah.
and they found the treasure hoard, that was the moment of the switch.
Yeah, that's where he realized he didn't need them anymore. He could go get the treasure on his own.
But he had the lightsaber then. If he was truly evil, we've seen kids be killed in Star Wars before.
Yeah.
If he was truly evil.
But that's not the direction this show is.
This is not the direction the show is
going in.
No,
They're
but
just showing that he's a jerky McJerkface without.
Yes, but I don't think he's actually evil. I don't. He is all because my theory is that he was an older Padawan who was given up by his parents when he didn't want to go, and then Order 66 happens, and he is left alone by himself. That his version of the Jedi Code of not having attachments is not to care about anyone else.
Yeah.
Not to care about what happens to them or anything else. And it's always been about getting his treasure. But yet he still has some of those teachings because he does care about the kids at times. He does care about the other crew members, although, like you were saying, they have a purpose for him. He knows he can't take the mitt on his own. So
I just don't feel like he kills people just because, right? I mean, the two times we've seen, or kills beings, because not necessarily all people, but
Right.
the two times we've seen him do that, other than SM-33, I mean, you can't really, he's a robot, so you can't really call that killing, but, and he didn't stomp on the little rat thing that lived in his eye.
I
So
thought he was going to.
technically he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
They were, I mean, the captain, was going to shoot him out the airlock, so he kind of didn't have a choice. And, I mean, the acid thing was a little cold-blooded, but they were trying to break in, and so he could justify it that way. I feel like killing the kids would be pretty cold-blooded.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he feels like he can control them. They're 4 12-year-olds, like you said. You know, he can stop,
Yeah.
So-
and he did that with Fern when they were fighting for the captaincy.
Yeah, he just grabbed her and
and that's like he even in that point when he took command on Exender and got SM-33 to be his bodyguard. He said to put them in the brig. He wasn't trying to throw them in the acid bath or anything. He wasn't like he was trying to do something.
Right.
I bring all that up for the last shot, which we'll get to in a second. We get a scene with the parents who are now in deep, deep trouble, and the droid comes in and starts telling you shouldn't have been doing this or whatever, and all of them were like, we went to you for help.
Yep.
We tried to get you to help us. You gave us nothing. We want to actually talk to the supervisor. We need to know what's going on here. And all of a sudden the droid stops and looks up at the ceiling and it says, hold on, and walks off. And I love Wendell, like, what was that?
Yeah.
We were having a conversation. We were getting berated by an inanimate object. And it just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And wandered off. Like,
I got somewhere else to be.
and then the Wizard of Oz came over the loudspeaker.
Yep.
Now, we've been calling the supervisor the wizard for a long time
Yep.
now. Since they really started introducing the idea of the supervisor. And I'm of the theory right now that Captain Renard is the supervisor, and Captain Renard is Neil's family's race.
Okay.
And he's like the great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, whatever. But the voice comes over the loudspeaker. We have an emissary from the New Republic, and so all work is suspended for the rest of the day. And KB's moms have a bracelet to say when she's in zone and it went off and stuff like that.
So they know they're coming.
Yeah, and then the ship comes in, and my question was, how many people at Atten has actually seen a ship in the air?
Yeah. I mean, we don't. We assume that nobody comes in or out, but I mean, potentially they could, because like right before that, was it Fern's mom said to Wendell, "Have you told them yet? Have you told him yet?"
Yeah.
And he said, "No, I was waiting until he graduated." So there's some secret that the adults know about. And I mean, just because the kids have never seen something land
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it wasn't doing it on the other side of the
I
planet.
just had a really weird thought. A much maligned movie, but I think we both ended up enjoying it a lot. The Village from M. Night Shyamalan, starring William Hurt and Bryce Dallas Howard, about rich people going back into the 1800s kind of setup and living in a confined space that was cordoned off from the modern outside world.
Yeah, and the adults knew the secret, but the kids, the teenagers, anybody that was born there didn't.
Didn't. So it's kind of has that same kind of feel to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure we'll get that explanation next week. If not, I'm going to throw something through my TV. And somebody's going to get a sternly written letter. The ship lands on the soccer field.
That opened up.
Who's
Who's going to replace that grass?
Right. The ship lands. The droids come out to greet the new ambassador from the New Republic. Jod and the kids come out. They have an exchange back and forth, and then the droid says, "We will take you to the Met." Now, in that exchange, they were talking about, like, "Are you here for your pickup?" Excuse me.
Right.
And the ship sinks down into the ground, and it goes like story upon story upon story upon story upon story.
Yeah.
And the kids are like in complete awe.
Yeah.
This is my planet. Like,
Yeah.
what is?
When did this get here?
When did this get here? And it goes through, and there's some central ball at maybe the factory or whatever. And they're just like,
I think it's. I took it as like the furnace.
I thought that too. Yeah.
That's smelting the credits.
Yeah, the credits. So it goes all the way down, and it stops at the vault level. And I said, "Look, it's the volume." Because there's this giant vault door the size of my house that unlocks and rolls open, and that can never work anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sitting here saying that it's one of those times where the volume was obvious. It wasn't obvious to me.
No, because I was looking.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell that, like, because there's been some complaints kind of where especially where it meets the floor.
Yeah.
That some of the graphics get a little,
Wooey.
wavy. Yeah, wooey. And I think the fact that there were kind of some levels to the floor, like stuff going up and down and everything, kind of helped hide that, if it's even still. I mean, technology advances every second.
Yeah,
So
I have loved what they have done. Star Wars is all about doing innovation in on screen, from stop motion to animation to like everything that the original trilogy did, to the sequel, to the prequel trilogy, and what Lucas did with the green screens and all the editing and changing everything. Like, it's always been a thing. Yes, there's speed bumps in the way, but I love that they are willing to take these wild chances with Leia, with Tarkin, with Luke, de-aging them.
Yeah.
So you can tell. So having the volume there, my brain goes, I know how that works because I love all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't lose my suspension of. I'm not suspended. I don't lose my suspension of disbelief when it pops up.
Yeah, and I think it helps in this show. Like, was it the first season of Mando that they used it, and they maybe overused it?
Yeah.
And they have learned, and in preceding seasons of Mando, they actually, you could tell that they started actually going outside instead of recreating outside in the volume. Let's do the outside when we can. But if we're on a planet or in a mine or a mint or whatever, where we can't, to recreate that would cost a lot of money. So they went from outside to inside to the volume, and you could tell they were outside, and now they're inside.
I love it. I love it so much. The vault door opens, and there's this gigantic vault. Like, you can't see the end. It's so big.
Yeah.
And it's full of brand new Old Republic gold credits. And Jod asks, remind me once again, how many of these vaults are here? And the droid said, 1,139. And I said, it couldn't be 1,138? No?
No. And that whole scene too, I even said it when it was happening, reminded me very much of when in the prequels when Obi-Wan goes to, and I don't remember the name of the planet, the water planet, the water planet where it rained all the time.
Kamino.
Where he met Boba and Jango.
Yes, yeah.
And it was, he gets off the plane and they're like, or the ship, and they're like, we're so glad you're here to check on,
on your purchase,
the drones or the
clones,
that we've made, and he was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It was the same kind of feel.
Yeah, it was. The show's done a really good job of mirroring other things in Star Wars to give you a reminder, like, this is Star Wars, but it's telling its own story, and that's another example of that. It was like, I just love the entire time Jod in this series has been doing Captain Silvo dash whatever his name is, has been doing the kind of like going along with the thing, and so when he gets to a point where he needs to go along with the thing, it makes sense that he's kind of able to pick up on that really quick.
Yeah.
And then he has a hysterical laughing fit while the credits rain on top of him. Then the kids are sitting on the
flight deck?
It's the loading deck for the back of the ship.
Yeah.
And the parents show up and they all have a big hug. There's no lines between any of them about, there's like we missed you. Are you okay? KB's mom's asking her how many times did you, shut down, or how much maintenance did you have to do? But there was no
big dialogue. Yeah,
big dialogue, or you're in so much trouble, or I'm so glad you're home, or it was none of that big stuff. It was all in the background. Jod walks out to the families while they're all standing there. They all turn around and he whips the lightsaber out, cut the black, and I'm like, are you kidding me? After your speech about cutting their parents up slowly, and he's going to enjoy it to get them to shut up.
Yeah.
And then you pull out a blue lightsaber that looks like it's from the High Republic era. I was just like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, so but I think that might be a problem for him. Because the robots think that he is there like others before him have come to check on the progress. And then all of a sudden he pulls out a lightsaber like he's going to attack the people.
Yeah.
I think it's not great what the supervisor and the robots are doing to the people that live there that don't know what's going on.
Right.
But I don't think they want them hurt, obviously, because they were chasing the parents around the forest, stunning them.
Yeah.
So, and they're always there to make sure you don't hurt yourself or whatever. So I think that that's going to be an issue for him.
I as you were saying that, we talked about what if the gold from At-Aten is what paid for the First Order, or helped fund parts of the First Order.
Yeah.
Because we're in that time period where the First Order is now out in the galaxy trying to build itself.
Yeah.
And so I openly questioned that. I now want to openly question. This is such a leap, but it's not that far. I don't think it's that far of a leap. What if Jod, I'm going to say it, aren't I?
Waiting. We're just waiting.
What if Jod is working for Leia? And the point was to find backing to build her fleet, her army, because she knows there's something else out there. And the New Republic took all of her funding away and demilitarized themselves.
I don't know.
It's a leap, but it's not impossible.
Because I get it, but he is turned into such a jerk that and he's acting very, this is all mine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're right. I like I said, it is a huge leap, but I can make 3 points and go this, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
I mean, that could be what that money is for too. Yeah, and they're just waiting for somebody to come. That there are people, even though everybody says, AT-ATN is a not a ghost story, but a myth, a legend.
Yeah.
That there are people. There has to be some people out there that know that it still exists. Yeah.
It would be such an interesting way to connect what this story is that we've loved so much to the bigger universe.
Yeah.
Without having it be about that.
Yeah.
Like Jod was an agent for Leia. He's the new Fulcrum. He's the new version of Fulcrum, and he was a Padawan. It had maybe left the Order, and now feels guilty that he didn't do anything during Order 66 in the Battle of Yavin and the second Death Star, and he went to Leia because he knew who she was, or he was friends with Han because Han still is alive at this point in time. There's so many strings that I could sit there and pull them together.
I don't think he, because Leia is only 19 at this point, right?
No, this point. She's in her
she's
late...
general?
She's not quite general, but she's in her late 40s at this point in time. But we're not New Hope.
But Order...
No, she's 19 at New Hope. And that all takes place over a 3-year period. So she'd be 22. And then we get to the New Republic era. So after that second Death Star and the 8 years later. So she's in her mid-30s. She's in the Senate. She's running for
But Leia
Grand
was
Chancellor.
Born at Order 66.
At Order 66, yeah.
She was born.
Right. So that would make Jude's age right now the right age to be older than Leia as we sit in this timeline.
Yeah.
So I just find it very interesting that it's like I said, it's a big leap, but it makes sense. It makes sense. But ultimately, what it's going to be is he's going to apologize to the kids and the parents, and then there's going to be bigger things to deal with, like the other pirate ship trying to get through. Oh, and by the way, the New Republic is out there too. They followed Onyx Cinder,
right?
So there's some kind of tractor going on. So they're going to find out what this place is.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, ultimately what's going to happen in the last episode is there's going to have to be some verifications that this planet is now found, and that vault is there.
Yeah.
And all of those vaults are there, full of gold.
Yeah.
And that's the wrap up on that has to be for this. A couple of things that we haven't talked about that we didn't talk about last week, but I want to just add here real quick. The crab monster, the mama crab, whatever, was stop motion by Phil Tippett and Phil Tippett Studios. Just so good. I cannot get over what they've done with the show with practical costumes, the volume, the special effects of the ships. Like they've done everything. They've done all the different pieces of Star Wars to bring all of that in, including the stop motion. I thought it was great. One of the things that was talked about this week that I kind of was hinting on, but I hadn't figured out how to put my words into it, is they've been saying from jump that the show is got kids in it, but it's not for kids.
Right.
And what I'm coming to realize is that it's got kids in it, and some people need to see what the kids have learned.
Yeah.
Not to be super political, we talk about politics every once in a while on the show, but the last episode specifically showed us that your differences just make you different. It doesn't make you less than or more than someone else.
Right.
and that sometimes your differences of abilities or body types or whatever is an attribute. It's something good,
Right.
than what we're being told by the current Republican Party in the country of the United States of America. And so, although this show hasn't really bluntly come out and said, this show is about togetherness and having different people of different types and different religions and different backgrounds and whatever, and that's a good thing. It hasn't blatantly come out and said it, but it's been adding it to the story as we've been going along.
But again, that follows the
Star Wars MO.
Well, and Goonies and
Yeah.
those shows from like the 90s that had kids in them but weren't 100% for kids. Like adults enjoyed them too.
Right.
E.T. Because there's like little kids are gonna go, like E.T. There's Drew Barrymore's like 5 and there's Alien, so that's fun, and they're riding around on their bikes. But there's a whole message, about E.T. being different and the government, which was kind of a thing of that time, was going to come take him and do experiments on him and stuff. So they had to save him, right? So if it does follow those other shows that it's kind of, or those other movies that it's emulating.
Yeah, because it's a lesson that needs to be retaught every few years. And we've circled back around to this idea that, it's okay to be different, and some people in our political leadership say, no, it's not. And so I love that they're taking this time to tell this fun adventure story about being out and learning new things about yourself and the galaxy and the bigger world, and coming across good guys and bad guys, and who are good guys and who are bad guys, and who do you trust, and all that kind of stuff. Underlying all of that was really put out last week was this idea that it's our differences is what makes us great.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that they taught us at the end of Rise of Skywalker, that there's more of us, that there's all these different types of people, different types of ships that come together to defeat the oppressive regime of the First Order, who only wanted everybody to speak with a British accent. Because that's the Empire way. But I wanted to point those two things out because it was pointed out a couple times in a couple different places this week. Let us know what you thought of this episode in our comments in it. We went longer than the episode, almost twice as long as the episode, because when we started talking, I was like, this is going to be quick. There's nothing to really talk about. And then we got into it. We're like, John's a dick. And he's working for Leia. So let us know what you think of this episode in the comments down below. If you're on the Spotify side, follow us there. Leave us a comment there. Share with your friends. If you're on the YouTube side, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave us a comment of what you think there, too. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok for another 7 days. 8 days. I am writing for the Geekery. I have the link. Geekery, sorry.
You say it, and I'm like, that's not how it's Geekery.
I'll leave the link down below. I'm writing weekly reviews for this, and then I've been writing some movie blogs. I'm doing one right now. So go over there and click on all the articles, even the ones that say Sean. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.